Hello and welcome back to the Sandbeast YouTube channel. My name is David Foxen and I'm thrilled you have joined me today for another video. Now, on March the 1st, 2022, Microsoft will be increasing the prices of their Office 365 and Microsoft 365 products by between 20 and 25%. It's a lot of money. It's a big price increase. But there are some things that ITAM and your organization can do now and today to try and avoid those price increases. So here are my 5 simple, hopefully useful tips for avoiding the impending Microsoft price increases. Okay, so first of all, full disclaimer, this is not on the levels of Sam Expert TV and those guys. They are the goats, the black belts for Microsoft licensing advice. But hey, this is just my 5 simple tips and tricks to hopefully help you avoid those pesky Microsoft price rises that are coming into force. These are certainly things I'll be doing for my clients to hopefully help them avoid those pesky price increases. Now, my first piece of advice is to do an internal software review. You know how much I love these internal reviews. Look at your consumption details, look at your assignment records. If you've got instances of non-usage, reclaim those licenses. If you've got leavers with licenses assigned to them, reclaim those licenses. Contact the users, actually ask them how they're using the software, why they're using it, will they need it for the next 12, 24, 36 months. Because if you're looking at doing a new enterprise renewal, it's probably going to be a 3-year term. It's also worth looking at what future projects are coming up, and we'll discuss that more in a second. Next up, once you've done some internal audits or internal software reviews, depending on how you word it, and you've looked at the consumption details, next up is to maybe have a look at your M365 user profiling. If you're an organization that by standard gives out E3s or E5s, have a look at that. There may be users out there that have got an E5 assigned that don't need an E5. They use a web browser just to get mail. That's it. That's all they need. That's all they use. Is that really worth the expensive E5, which, by the way, is not having a price increase? I wonder why that's happening, but that's not having a price increase. But if you are assigning those E3s or E5s by standards, E3 is having a price increase. Do you really need to give that? If they're only using the web browser, probably not. If they're only checking emails via a web, absolutely not. Get them an Exchange Online plan or an F1 plan or a combination depending on what your email retention may be, your policies internally may be. But really understand how they're using the license. There could be some huge savings in there, not only avoiding the price increases, but in your Microsoft EA in general. If you're suddenly reducing the number of E5s or E3s by hundreds because you've got all of these users just using web browsers and webmail, that could be huge and a real value add for the ITAM function. So please, if you've got time, have a look at your 365, your E3s and your E5. Look at the user profiles, have a look at how they're using it, their consumption details, whether they're just using it via the web, and speak to them, speak to their managers, speak to their cost center owners, and really establish whether they do have the right license type. Because if they haven't, and you can downgrade them to an Exchange Online plan or an F plan, you could save so much money depending on the quantities and the size of your organization. Next up is Consolidate. You'll be amazed at the number of organizations that have multiple SKUs for the same application, like Visio or Project. They've got perpetual uplift ones that's costing them more than just getting a Visio online plan or a Project online plan. Now is a fantastic time to consolidate that. Make sure that they're all on the same online plan. Stop spending more money on that uplift from the perpetual to the M365 version of it. Make sure that you are consolidating them, finding out which is the cheaper option for you within your organization, and then actioning that in advance of your enterprise renewal or your new EA, depending on where you are in the life cycle of that. Now, all of this accumulates into the next two steps, and the first one is price lock-in. Now, I briefly mentioned earlier about making sure that you're talking to your key stakeholders, your key teams, your cost center owners, HR even, to understand what's coming up within the organization within the next 12, 24 and 36 months. There may be a huge project coming down the line that's going to require loads more licenses. You may need some Dynamics licenses. You may need more E3s or E5s, Visio's project, Visual Studio, whatever it may be. There may be a significant increase in demand for specific license types and specific applications. If that is the case, and they are an application that is due a price rise, make sure that you start price locking those bandings that you're going to enter into with the new projects or the new headcounts or the new teams or whatever, so that you've price locked that value for the entirety of your agreement and you're avoiding those price increases. Just one copy of it, get it price locked, so that then when you come to buy those additional licenses when you're in your new EA, that you've already price locked it, you know how much it's going to cost, you know how much it's going to cost for the rest of the agreement. The amount of organisations that don't do this and then get stung further down the line and go over budget is just astonishing, when for the sake of a couple of £100 or even tens of pounds, you could have price locked that SKU at the renewal phase or at the start of your new enterprise agreement and saved yourself a world of pain and trying to justify that new increase in price to the cost center owner. So be savvy, think ahead, and price lock anything you know that is coming down the line. I mean, even if you don't use it, the project falls through, you've only price locked one license for that SKU. You've only spent a couple of hundred or tens of pounds or dollars on that anyway. So it's worth the risk of doing that. And then finally, this all boils down to, if your agreement is due in April, May, June, July, maybe even August, if you have the capabilities, if you have the resources, if you're able to early commit, get your order in before these price rises, so that when it does come into play that you've avoided those price locks. Doing that for a number of clients at the moment when their agreements end in like April, May, June, July. And we're getting them in early, making sure that we're understanding what the future requirements are, doing all of the internal reviews, the user profiling, the consolidation, the price lock-in. So ultimately we can early commit and avoid all of those price rises. And we're actually calculating that if we do this early commit, how much would we save on the 20-25% uplift on the price for the E3s. We're actually classifying and quantifying that at the moment, so that we can show that all this effort now is absolutely worth it, because we'll be actually avoiding X amount when we come to do our renewal. Just 5 really simple, like I said, we're not on the Sam Expert TV level of analysis here, but just some really, 5 simple things that you can do to hopefully avoid these price rises and save your organisation some money, and show the value that proactive, looking forward, proactive IT asset management can bring to your organisation. Okay, so there are my 5 simple tips that hopefully will help you avoid those Microsoft price increases. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. If you found it useful or enjoyed it, please like and share it on LinkedIn or wherever you would like to share it. If not, a subscription to the channel would mean just as much. And thank you so much. Please feel free to subscribe. Like I said, there's lots of more ITAM content coming over the coming weeks, months, and this year. And hope you found it useful. Hope you enjoyed it. And hope we see you next time here at the Sam Beast YouTube channel.